Hi, and welcome to Congo Community Spotlight. I am Kim, and we're after the election, but we're still getting informed. So I think most important is that we are blessed to have Mr. Frankel here today, and he's about to share some information with us. So welcome to the show. Thank you for still coming out. We realize that it's after the election.
That's true.
And you were hoping to be our next Newcastle County executive, right?
Newcastle County Council President.
Newcastle County President.
I know that the titles are very similar.
They are. So Newcastle County President. County President.
County Council President. Yeah.
Okay. Newcastle County
Council President. I know it's a lot of NCCCP.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got it here, and there were 5 of you running.
Yeah, there was 5 of us.
And Mrs. Monique
Johns
was the one who was victorious in front of the 5.
Yes.
And you were number 2 here.
I was number 2.
And you're here to tell us still about what you wanted, what you see, or just give us some information.
Yeah. So, first off, thank you for having me on the show, Kim. I really appreciate it. Thank all you guys back at home watching. I ran a campaign. It was about a year of my life. There was 5 of us in the race. This was my first time running. I've lived in Newcastle County my whole life. I'm a 5th-generation Newcastle County resident.
Okay.
I live in the city of Wilmington, behind Galuccio's in the 8th Ward.
Yeah.
So, I'm nearby, and I'm in the same district as this, District 4 with Penrose Hollins for the county. Like I said, I came in 2nd place. We had a really good show. It was my first time. Lost by 1% of the vote, so we were nearly there.
Wow.
But just shy. And I wish Monique the best of luck, and I hope that she does a great job, and that we all have a wonderful next 4 years on county council.
That's it. That's it.
Because that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what made you decide. First time saying, hey, you know what, I want to try this. What made you make that decision and make that commitment? Because that was a huge commitment.
Yeah, it was. So, like I said, my whole family lives here. They're from here. I bought a house last year. I was living at home, saving up money. I bought my first house in the city.
Okay.
And there's some things I'd like to see happen in terms of the growth and the needs from the county. A lot of them stem from my work. I work for the Delaware Workforce Development Board, so I've spent the past 2 years as head of business engagement there.
Okay.
And my job has been to call employers. I literally just cold call like thousands of them and ask them, what are your current workforce needs? Have you been working with the state and all these different programs and systems and the high schools, and what do you think is lacking and how can we help?
Okay.
And some of the big things people were saying were that their workforce was retiring at a rapid rate.
Yes.
And there was no young people to replace them. And, looking into more of the statistics on this, we found this to be very true. Delaware is the 3rd oldest state in the nation. According to the Philadelphia Fed, we're going to have more people over 55 than under 55 in the state of Delaware in the next 5 to 10 years.
Wow.
We have a growing population. We're one of the only 2 states in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast that has a growing population. It's us and Maine.
Wow.
But the difference is that we are only growing with retirees moving from other states to Delaware. So what we're having is a demographics issue. There's going to be too few younger people of working age and a lot of retirees that demand localized workforce and services. And for example, we talked to Christiana Care. They're down almost 2,000 nurses, RNs, have been for years.
Wow.
The county police department is down 65 officers currently. We only have 2 police officers that go south of the canal at all. For the entire Middletown, Odessa, Townsend, only 2 county police officers.
Wow, I never knew that.
Every single fire hall in the state of Delaware is understaffed in firefighters and EMTs, every single one of them.
Yes.
The county paramedics unit hasn't been able to grow since 1997, despite having 10,000 more calls to 911 a year than they did in that year.
Oh my gosh.
So we're really
scary,
it can be, but we got to keep it positive.
Got to keep it positive. Wow, those are overwhelming numbers. I didn't realize that. That's a lot. It's so funny because today I was talking to my granddaughter and she was like, Delaware is an old state. It's for old people.
And that's the narrative I think we need to change.
I think that's what I said. How do we make it? What do we need to do so that it becomes more appealing to younger people?
So a thing that I think Delaware, and in particular Newcastle County and Wilmington, could do. I mean, Wilmington's obviously, it's the heart of the Newcastle County, but it's also realistically the heart of the state of Delaware in a lot of ways. What we can do here in the county is Delaware has the blessing of the fact that we get a lot of our tax revenue from these corporations that incorporate here. 30% of our entire state budget is actually made up of these corporations that have moved here, basically to have a mailbox here. So we don't really have to do anything for them. And as a result of that, we've been able to have, tax-free shopping. We've been able to secure the 47th lowest property taxes in the country. Wow. And so we have 47th highest transfer tax. So every time you want to buy and sell a property, we have that's going to cost you. But the monthly property taxes are 3 times lower than Pennsylvania, 4 times lower than New Jersey. Wow. So relatively speaking, for a younger person who wants to buy a home, which in this day and age isn't something that most people even think is possible. This county is very well situated for young people to move here and start a family, I think. And I think we need to make that pitch. I think we need to make that marketing pitch. That sounds good. I was looking into, hopefully, somebody might be able to do this, but eliminating the transfer tax for first-time home buyers in the county, which is 0.75%. So that means you don't have to have that 0.75% of the purchase price when you come up to get your home, so you can actually get more home relative to your income. So your income ratios would actually be able to, buy more homes. But it would encourage... you wouldn't be eliminating the transfer tax for people who are buying second homes, or, people who are moving here from out of state who have had multiple homes, corporations who want to buy homes, they would all still pay these taxes, but first-time home buyers, which are people who are younger or people who have maybe traditionally rented, who are looking to get into the home ownership, would have an advantage over those other entities like corporations and people who are purchasing second homes. And I think that's important. That is important. That makes good sense. That really, and we do, because like I said, okay, what do you think? Give me some of your suggestions and what would make this a better state for some young people. Because, Delaware is pretty cool. It's great. We've got 4 easy seasons. Our winters aren't that, I don't know if it's a little warming, but the winters aren't as bad as they were when I was younger. 4 easy seasons, beautiful architecture, wonderful history, great connectivity. You could be in any beach town from New York to Maryland in about 2 hours from here. You can be in the Poconos and go skiing if you'd like in the winter. You could be in Philadelphia, D.C., Baltimore, New York in less than 2 hours. That's it. You can be at every major sporting team in all of those cities. Honestly, I think Newcastle County, if you're a sports fanatic, you could probably reach more professional sports teams and stadiums and more live concerts and things and more airports from this county quicker than anywhere else in the country. I think you might be right there. Given our access to Amtrak and I-95 and its geographic proximity. So I think for all these reasons, it's a really good sell. It's a really good sell. We have great industry here with our banking jobs, our healthcare sector, our legal sector. We have quite a bit of these jobs, and one of our biggest drawbacks is our education system. Now that's a big drawback, though. Massive. So we are 45th in the nation for reading proficiency. Wow. 47th for math proficiency. 75% of our first graders are not proficient in reading at all. We're 7th in the nation for spending, however, per student. Really? Yeah. Wow. Isn't that awful? So that it's not going together there. And the thing that bothers me the most is that we can be in red clay and have an A and an F within the same school district. How do you do that? There's something that's gone wrong there when you look at things like that. Things, in my opinion, have gotten, a bit too complicated, more complicated than they need to be. I think we need to get back to basics when it comes to education. My mother taught at Dickinson for many years. My grandparents, my great-grandparents, all Newcastle County public school teachers. They taught in the Wilmington School District when that was a thing. It's no longer. But I agree. We spend over $22,500 a year per student in red clay. That's it. That's my school district, you know. And but what I think we need to do is it's less about how much we're spending, because I think we could be spending more, in my opinion. And it's more about looking at what are the problems and how can we attack them. Now, one of the things I wanted to do was, with the county has no control over the school system.
Right.
What the county does have control over is all 15 of our libraries. Whether they're in the city or outside the city, anywhere they are, they're all run by the county government. We just spent hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know the exact number, but it's over $200 million, I think.
Wow.
Dollars renovating our libraries.
Okay.
We got a new one coming up on North Market.
Yes.
And we're renovating the old one across from it.
Because they're going to have a grand opening or something, if I didn't miss it already.
I mean, it's like steel beams right now.
Okay.
But that's a $22 million library going up.
Wow.
We've got a $6 million renovation going on in the old library across the street.
Okay.
We have a $44 million library going up in Newark, a new one there. We just opened a brand new library in Appoquinimink. We had a I don't know what the number is on it, but the Route 9 library was very expensive, but very, very, very nice.
It's very nice.
I highly recommend going. They have it. We county hired a chef.
Oh, really?
To go there. Yeah. They have lobster mac and cheese. It's very good. Yeah. There's a black box theater there.
Wow.
It is, they have a hydroponic system where they grow their own like kale and basil and stuff in there. It's really cool. But I digress. So what I was saying about, how the county can use their libraries is, what I wanted to do was fill all 15 of our county libraries with hooked on phonics style reading tutors.
Okay.
Run the buses directly from all 15, all school districts, are 7 in the county, to all 15 of these libraries after school. Fill them, like I said, with the hooked on phonics style reading tutors, and then have the activities bus, the sports bus, pick the kids up. So the kids would be signing up for basically the library team, same as they would like the soccer team.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I personally learned how to read in the Brandywine 100 library. I'm a dyslexic.
Okay.
I got held back in the first grade. Teachers told me I was never, elementary school, they're like, you're never going to graduate high school. And I got tutored at the Brandywine 100 library, hooked on phonics style. And that was how I was able to get it all together,
Well, that makes good sense, because I know with so I was blessed enough to raise some of my grandchildren, and I used to tell the school, you're not sending homework home to me. If you got to keep her there until homework is done, do what you got to do. But yeah, I work all day. If she can't manage the homework by herself, then there's something wrong. Like, she should be able to come home and do her own homework with maybe a little guidance, but not with me having to put too much time in teaching her, which you guys should have taught her in school. Yeah. So that's not fair.
Well, and that's what I think that the libraries could be a key resource, because not only would they be filled with for direct one-on-one assistance, they would be there to facilitate an after-school study hall, essentially. And, like I had said earlier, the fourth grader statistic on 75% of our fourth graders essentially cannot read in the state of Delaware as of this summer when we tested them. Those fourth graders were the first graders in COVID.
Okay.
So when we think about the learning loss that a lot of these kids suffered during COVID, now they're fourth graders who aren't fully prepared to go to fifth grade, but we can't hold back an entire generation.
Exactly.
So we have to keep pushing them forward. They're going to need that one-on-one support. Even if we get hooked on phonics, Orton Gillingham science of reading level instruction back into the schools like we used to have in the 70s and 80s, we still wouldn't be able to, at scale, one teacher isn't going to be able to teach a kid who's developed along that way in fourth or fifth grade how to read. But if you got them in one-on-one, fourth or fifth grade, you can get it done. I'm the proof.
Yes. And, I can say, because I did have one of mine that needed that one-on-one. Unfortunately, they were able to do it at school. Yeah. And went from lower to above grade level within the school year. Yeah. But with just having a tutor once a week coming in, or somebody who was reading with her and making it work. And so it does work. I was talking to my daughter this weekend, who is in healthcare. She works for a software lab, whatever. But she was sharing that it then transfers to our seniors, or to people who are getting medication, because doctors sometimes assume that people are literate. Yeah. And they'll say, okay, here's your script, just follow the directions. Yeah. Well, if you're not literate, you can't follow your directions correctly. And she said that's a big problem with medication, and I had never thought of that before.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it's not as big as I hope it's not. Yeah, I hope it's not totally prolific, but
think of how many people really are, still illiterate and still have some problems, and then somebody's not totally explaining because we don't get that same time with doctors that we did before. So, you kind of go out and then the next person says this and the next one, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I hear
it goes through. So it really is something that we need to get a hold of early. I love that idea because after school reading.
After school reading.
I grew up with Schoolhouse Rock. I love Schoolhouse Rock, and I can still sing every Schoolhouse Rock song. Although they all hate that I sing every Schoolhouse Rock song, but it worked. It worked. It got the
Phonics
information into you.
Phonics worked. And
it made it happen. So I agree with you 100% that would be a fabulous way of utilizing what we're spending all this money for.
Well, and ideally it wouldn't actually cost us too much money because the facility has already been paid for.
There, exactly.
And the buses are already using the libraries as pickup and drop off for the transportation anyways because the library serves as a bus hub. So we would just have to make it official, but realistically it's already a bus hub.
It makes it
and
work.
if we can make it work for soccer, I think we can make it work for libraries.
We can make it work for
for after school pickup. It's one extra pickup. And then as I mentioned, the workforce issues, we have actually a wonderful amount of retired teachers here in the state of Delaware
for sure.
who, given the current state of the economy and fixed incomes on pensions, might want to work 10 hours a week part-time for the county as a tutor. And instead of managing a classroom of 30 kids for 8 hours a day, they manage one kid for 2 hours a day.
Exactly.
And, with these numbers at 15 libraries, if you put 5 tutors in each one of these libraries 5 days a week, and you paid them $30 an hour, it would cost the county $1.6 million over the course of the entire year.
Wow.
And you'd be able to...
Easy.
Yeah, relative to the grand budget, it's not that bad.
And especially when you think of the impact that it's going to have on the students.
375 kids.
Wow.
So that would teach 375 kids to read. That would mean 2 hours a week of direct one-on-one instruction, whether those are in 4 intervals of 30 or 2 one-hour intervals a week per child at 375 kids.
That's amazing.
375 kids in the county, that's a lot of kids every year.
Right.
And what happens is that those kids go back into their classrooms in the 4th grade. They were really struggling. They were starting to become unenthused with school.
Yes.
And then they maybe become a distraction to the rest of the class and to the teacher, and then they have to deal with behavioral issues as a result. And imagine if you were able to teach 1 or 2 kids in every 4th grade class, maybe 5 kids in every 4th. At 375, I don't know how many elementary schools there are in the county, but it's maybe 20?
Right.
So that's, what is that? That's at least, 10 plus kids in each 4th grade class of an elementary school that are going to get this help. 10 kids in a class that otherwise weren't going to get that help, giving them that help in every school in the county.
That's a big difference.
Big impact. And I think it'll have a ripple on the rest of our school system because they'll go on to 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade.
Feeling more secure,
confident. And then that confidence will go back onto all the rest of the kids. And then everybody's going to be learning better. And the teachers are going to be less stressed. They're going to get a weight taken off their shoulders. They can focus on teaching. They can focus on the 8 hours they have their very difficult job of being in there and doing what they need to do. And the kids that need that one-on-one help can get it, and they can get refreshed. And the teachers, doesn't have to all be on the shoulders of these teachers.
And then it's not that extra cost because so many of us have to actually get a tutor or do something along those lines because we want to still have successful students. So in order to make it work, you do what you got to do. So sometimes you got to pick up an extra job just to pay for a tutor.
And how are you going to get your extra job when you're picking your kid up at 3 and driving them to the library to get a tutor? My mom had to come pick me up, drop me off at the library, pay for a tutor, find a tutor, pay for the tutor, organize that, and then come pick me up at 5.
That's it.
Or 4 or whatever. And
that's great because now even there are these online tutors or things, but it's not the same.
No,
it's not the same as the connection that you get
in person.
You feel that attachment, you feel special, you feel all of those things that help you boost your confidence when you have that one-on-one. So I think you've got some great ideas.
And it exposes you to the library, where we've got robotics labs. A black box theater, the only one in the whole state's in the Route 9 library.
Wow.
And we've got a wonderful robotics lab at the Appoquinimink Library.
Really?
Like I said, cafeterias. You've got loads and loads of programs there. So all these groups and things that are doing really wonderful work at the libraries, this can give them consistency in people showing up there every day to utilize their services.
Yeah, because, when I was younger, we went to the library after school. That was, what we did. We went to the library. But these days, you can't even get or, you know what I mean? It's hard to get to the library after school.
But imagine if you could just be like, I'm going on the library bus today.
Right.
That's just a thing.
That's just a thing.
And there's a number of...
And it became cool to hang out at the library and learn.
Yeah. And it's like I'm falling back in school. You can try and contact a teacher and say, hey, I need to stay with you. But, teachers aren't getting paid to stay at school for 2 hours every day to sit with the same 3 students, and God bless the ones that do. And I hope they do because, we need it. But, I think that we can take this burden off them after school to a certain degree. And I think a change of scenery is good as well. I think a lot of these libraries are even closer to the communities where people live, actually. So you might even find students going to a library they can walk home from. And that's important.
That is.
And I think parents and grandparents can interact more in these libraries. There's also the aspect of, if the kids aren't behaving well at school, there's not a lot of places you can put them. They have to stay at school legally. But if a kid starts a fight or something at the library, it's a public library. You're banned from the library bus. You're not going back. And then we'll have a time where we can have a conversation with you. What's going on? But understand that that's what's happening. But I think that with that we can mitigate some of the distractions that might traditionally be posed. And I understand. I was 12 at one point. And
I had that with my son. So much excitement.
A lot of energy. But
and silly stuff, not big major stuff. No. Silly things that boys sometimes do. Where do they think of these things? But so I love that idea, and I think that the usage of the teachers who are retiring, there's so many
they're going to be crucial to this.
Teachers that are retiring that would. They love what they did for so long. And so I think it works. And
I know my mom wants to do it. She's ready to go. My grandma, if she was, I don't know if she's in her 80s. I don't think she wants to do it. But and I think retirees have the expertise. They know what they're doing. They're professionals. We just can't ask them to work 50 hours a week in your 60s and 70s. You just can't do it. So and I think this is a really good way to help relieve our burden on our workforce.
And the parents, honestly, because it's really hard after working one job, maybe 2, and trying to get everything ready and organized and do all of that. And again, trust me, and still do homework. So that's a lot. And so, again, I am thankful for the programs where they will help, after school homework programs because of that. But and I would love to do more library. Again, same granddaughter. She was just talking about when she was younger, how much she remembers the library, where she used to sit in a library, the books that she used to do, and all of those things that, So going to the library is memorable for young people. So again, I still remember going to the library, but she was talking about how she remembers going to a specific library and where she would sit and the books she would do and all these kind of fun things. So I think libraries are a great resource, and we do need to utilize it more. And there's so many new things at the library.
Tons.
That, I would like to get acquainted with.
Robotic slabs, lobster mac and cheese, and Oscar-loving theatrical performances. So. And there's recording studios. There's all kinds of stuff.
Really?
And you can even rent, at the library, they rent out lawn equipment.
Really?
Leaf blowers, weed whackers. There's all kinds of stuff at the library.
I had no idea.
And I think the more that we can have the entire community involved in the library, the more people we can get butts in the seat at the library, the better. That's going to be the best use of the money that we've invested. And it's going to continue to make sure that the libraries are there.
That's it.
And you think about what are the functions of a government, what are the functions of education. Long before society, thousands had public schools, we had libraries. There's the Library of Alexandria. There's a reason why there's libraries. They are, there was debates over whether or not we're going to pay for school for the masses or whatever. was never a debate
of the library.
The only people who wanted to get rid of libraries were not so great people.
Yeah, that's it.
And they knew that that's what the power of a library had is for people to learn and to be a community inside of. So libraries are a crucial pillar of our government and our society.
Well, I mean, we've seen puppet shows. We have lots of fun. We've got typically we've got really good memories surrounding our library and our library experiences.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for the new one on North Market to come up, and I'm excited. There's more stuff. Hopefully, they're going to come from the one in Rodney Square, the Wilmington Library. That's a beautiful building.
Yes.
But yeah, so.
Yes, and I didn't realize that even that library had so many resources. There's computer labs that where you can go and they'll help you with your resume. They'll help you with, there's so many resources at the library that we miss out on.
And the problem is with that library is I called up the librarians that worked there, and I asked them, what was some issue, what was going on, and they said that it's used basically once every couple of weeks as like a event space, which is great, but it's not an event space; it's a library. And then they said, other than that, it's a lot of people who are suffering from drug addictions and homelessness will use the bathrooms to do drugs and to sleep and a lot of other things. So another major issue, with education is our emergency responders and our homeless issue and our drug problems, our opioid crisis.
Yeah, big here.
So, on county government, I'm not sure entirely what we could do to get beyond that, besides making sure our EMTs, our paramedics, and our police are well-equipped and trained and well-staffed to deal with these issues. I wanted to mandate on county council that all elected officials go on a ride-along with both the county paramedics unit and the county police department. I found this summer going on ride-alongs and things like that you learn a whole lot about the community that you're trying to help. When you're there and somebody's overdosed in their apartment at 2 in the morning and you're shoulder to shoulder with the paramedics, and you really get a personal, and they know the person by name, by first name, because
they've been there before.
This isn't the first time they found them.
Yeah.
And you really gain a lot of perspective with that, and I think that's important for all of our elected officials to do.
And that sometimes people, that it's not always as easy as you think it might be to help someone who you feel needs help. Like somebody else may be there who doesn't want to. It's all kinds of things that happen that are real life situations that we need to begin to address. Yeah. And we need to get back to the point where we are celebrating these careers. I think that for so long now, we've only had certain areas that we kind of push people toward. And I think that we have to get back to the point where we are encouraging and celebrating and just the greatness of all of these different types of careers. And they're great.
Yeah, nurses, paramedics, firefighters, EMTs.
And they're for people who don't want that
plumbers, electricians,
job where they have to go sit in an office. Everybody's not an office person. So if you're not an office and you don't want to sit in the same 9 to 5, it's exciting, something different every day. There's so much, that you can see and do. Yeah,
and there's a lot of consistency, and actually there's a lot of demand. And I would say, in a lot of ways, it's almost safer to get, not safer physically, because being a paramedic is very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
But jobs in the trades, welding, carpentry, plumbing, being a police officer, a teacher, a nurse, those types of positions aren't in jeopardy necessarily of going away because AI has come and we can now cut out a certain percentage of our banking white collar cubicle jobs, or we can outsource it to some other country because it's digital, it's work from home. We don't need people in Delaware to do them. So there are a lot of these positions, or the pay has gone up considerably. The lifestyle is there, and in terms of if you like working with your hands, if you like talking to people, and I think we need to really emphasize how important these jobs are. I mean, you can't
let everybody, because I found that still, it's just not, the ratio isn't good. So the number of black students that get offered or excited about or get an opportunity to serve in some of these positions, just the scale isn't even at all. So
for what, the trades? For
the trades. It's down. Even with having the tech schools, we still don't have the same number of black students that get these opportunities as to actually go into working and becoming a licensed plumber and all of those things that happen. So getting that opportunity and just helping to make it so it's a little more equul.
Yeah. I would highlight a thing called, have you ever heard of the Delaware Skills Center?
Yes.
So worked with them quite a bit at the Workforce Board. I have a friend, my brother's best friend growing up, he's going into the electrical program. He started 3 weeks ago. But I was like, that's where I would start. Because they have the pre-apprenticeship program. So it's a 10-week program where you can go out and plumbing. They have plumbing, electrical, HVAC, I believe they had carpentry. They have the LPN program, which is great. They have the CNA program. But anyway, I digress. It takes a year off of your apprenticeship. Your apprenticeship is 4 years for a plumber, for example. But if you take a 10-week course at Delaware Skills Center, a lot of which can be paid for free through WIOA, which is the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, federal dollars. So you apply for WIOA money online, and if you make under, I don't know the exact number, but it's like $50,000 a year or something, you'll get the tuition paid for.
And so just getting that information to the people and helping them get an understanding of what is available. So I think that's what happens a lot. Because if you honestly go out and look, just visually, take a look at the workforce and see who's out doing what, you don't see a lot of people of color in all of the positions that are available. So how do we make sure we're seeing the representation even within your community where you are licensed within your community? Because maybe somebody may have the skill, but somehow they miss getting that license status, and so it then becomes difficult. So working on those kind of things is important to me as well. Absolutely.
And so, to become a journeyman, we could stick with plumber. That's just we'll just go in that line. Like it's a 4-year process. You have to take night classes in this area at Del Castle 2 days a week. So you have to work 40-hour weeks as an apprentice. Your pay is probably around $18 an hour. Not great, but not the end of the world. You're a green individual. Like you have no formal training, and then you need to secure a sponsorship with a journeyman and be within ratio. So there's a 3-to-1 ratio. You need to have 3 licensed journeyman plumbers for every 1 apprentice. So that's something that's been a point of contention. I think it should be lower. No, I don't know. Don't come at me, guys. I think it should be something more like a 1-to-1. Within there's safety reasons why you don't want too many apprentices on the job site. But I think that's something that we need to grow our workforce. Our tradespeople are retiring quickly, and we need to train up our younger people and to these skills. And I think that some of the issues are attributed to the ratios. And I think that if that was lessered, then maybe we'd have more ability for these kids to do that. But we've also gotten rid of a lot of the stuff in our schools like wood shop and things like that. So there's not a direct path, from high schools in. There's the VOTEC schools, which do a great job. There's the challenge program.
With the VOTEC schools, I still notice the differences. It's just not evening out there somehow. Something's missing, and I think that we have to address whatever's missing. And perhaps it is the fact that, and I didn't realize that you need the journeyman and who. If it's a certain group of people that are going to, of course, this is.
Well, they're dying for them.
Are they really?
Oh yeah. I got a list of maybe 300 plumbers. I just cold call or whatever. I'm just like, hey, are you hiring? And they're like, desperately. So bad. They're like, if you have a human being that'll show up, we'll hire them. They're like, please just show up.
Just show up.
And I swear, so call them. Call your local electrician. And if you go to the Delaware Skills Center and you get the pre-apprenticeship training, I'm not going to guarantee, but if you have that certificate of the pre-apprenticeship, whether it was from your high school or whether it was from Delaware Skills Center, and you showed up every day and you did a good job, you're going to get 1 year knocked off your apprenticeship automatically, and you'll more than likely get that apprenticeship very quickly.
That's it.
So that's, if you want to get into trades, I'd recommend that. But I think it goes back to the point that I was mentioning earlier. We're 45th in the nation for reading proficiency. A lot of our students can't pass the exam.
That's it.
We're 50th in the nation, for example, for passing the EMT exam.
Wow.
50 out of 50 states.
Wow.
So
that's not a good
that's
place
a federal exam. So these are people who coming out of high school, most of them are on the EMT track, And we fail because we're 47th in the nation for math.
Wow.
A lot of these things are racial, how much medicine to administer to people, what are these things looking like? And so, it's really just these binary tests. And I don't think the solution is making the test easier.
Not at all.
Because I don't want to make we don't want to be in the back of an ambulance. I don't want my house to, have a plumber who never passed the exam.
Exactly.
So, but what we need to do is make sure that our kids are taken care of at a young age, capable of reading, are inspired and confident, and that by the point where they get to 9th grade or so, they can pick their own path and have that path be something that, it could be college or it could be the trades. And they're both equal. And quite frankly, if you get a business degree from a school or a political science degree like myself, a master's degree, worth nothing. Don't do it.
That's it.
I should have been a plumber. It would have been. I would have made a lot more money.
A lot more money. And that's the thing that people don't understand. That as when you get into those trades, it used to be something I don't think people really understood. That hey, these people are making a lot of money. So this is where we should.
And the police salaries are going up. The county police and state police. State police, I think, is starting at like $92,000 a year now.
Wow.
But they still can't find anybody.
Yeah.
And county can't either.
Right. And I think a lot of that again is based on how we're training, what we think about when we think of these people. Is this who you really want to be? If they have a negative look there, who wants to be a bad cop? You know what I mean? So why would I want to be a cop? So how were we changing this perception in our young people and making these? They were heroes when we were little.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to wear the little red fire hats and do all the fun stuff. So it was a point where this is what we wanted to be.
They were admired.
And
I think that a lot of these things, and to your point, I understand. But politicians aren't exactly people that people admire.
That's true.
I might have had a few opinions of my own about politicians globally, locally, whatever.
That's
I thought to myself, I can either be upset about it or I could just run.
And change it, right?
And be better.
That's it.
And the same thing is true with public service, whether that's a teacher, a paramedic, a police officer. If you like the people in your community who are representing you in politics, who are saving your life, who are teaching your kids, if you like them to be better and you're looking for something to, if you're looking for a career or if you're looking to make a difference, those are the places to do it. The best cops are the cops and you grew up with.
That's it.
I don't want somebody, looming over my shoulder, giving me fines, pulling me over.
That's it.
Who didn't grow up near me, who doesn't know me.
That's it.
Who can't, I'd much rather have it be somebody that can sympathize with me and it has a good intentions with it.
That's it.
But the more that we think, we shouldn't get involved, the more that we think, politics is dirty, being a cop is dirty, being a, paramedic, I don't want to do that. The less people of good intention that get into that space.
It comes back down to, again, being able to pass, being able to be accepted. I think we have to look at those statistics realistically.
Gotta meet these
because
things.
It's not even. It's really a big difference with the people who are able to get promoted, who are the people who are able, so we have to do a better job of, I guess, policing the police and just making sure that the numbers, because I know within a class of I don't know how many paramedics recently, I think there were two blacks that were training.
I think there's only like 7 in the paramedics class.
Yeah.
So I mean, in the
it was a larger class.
The
friend of mine was doing.
Because a lot of people failed.
Oh yeah.
So they took on maybe 25 people, but about 7 of them passed.
That's it.
So
there's something wrong there.
Yeah, and
so how does that happen, and how are we unable to prepare them? We can't say it's all. I mean, perhaps we need to go back and make sure as we're starting they are proficient in these areas. But when they're not, what are we doing to address these issues? Because it has to be something that we can do in between.
Yeah.
Can't be just, okay, well, they failed. We just wasted everybody's time and money as we went through. It's not free to do those
it's
things.
not.
It's definitely, you're going to pay. And so then if I'm not able, or now I've done this and I put this money out, what happens next? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the point what I was trying to make with the 4th graders and the reading and the library stuff is that it is so return on investment.
Yes.
It is so much higher. It is so much cheaper and easier to teach a fourth grader to read.
Yes.
And to make sure that they're confident and that they're going to school and that they like being in school and they like themselves.
Yes.
Than it is to take somebody who's my age, you know, and teach them the world. You know, teach them all these teach them confidence. Teach them critical thinking. Teach them basic reading and math, which can be taught, but it's going to be difficult.
Yes.
You know, there's crazy statistics out there, like 70% of people in prison actually have a learning disorder. And as a dyslexic, you know, I'm a board member over at the Centerville School. My mother founded Decoding Dyslexia Delaware. You know, that's something that is really shocking. And it's like, these kids are smart, you know, but they just weren't given that one-on-one instruction. They weren't taught in a way that they could absorb the information. And I think that, you know, if we screen all kids in elementary school now for reading disorders and learning disabilities, but we don't really have much follow-up.
At all.
And so, and we know these statistics.
And we don't have the support, and I can share as a parent who fought with the IEP and the 504 systems to get the real assistance that the child needs with test taking or just distractions or, you know, hearing or sounds, sensory issues. There's so many things that happen that are atypical that just aren't addressed because it's not addressed. And then it's a difference between men and a male or a female. You know, females are expected to have a certain thing, and males get more attention in some areas than women do. So it's a big, you know, everything has to be looked at and adjusted in those areas, and we have to pay attention. So your statistics are amazing because you have actually taken the time.
Feel free to check me too. I could be wrong.
No. I mean, but even that, I love to say that to people. Think I'm wrong and check it out. Because guess what?
I could be. I could be wrong.
You're going to get that knowledge yourself, which is going to make it stick with you as well. But with that, we have to pay attention to what you're saying. And you've given us such great resources here. Like, you've given us such good information to say, hey, we've got solutions. So somebody who is interested in solutions rather than just constantly stating, we get to hear what's wrong all the time, but let's find some solutions to some of these problems. So I appreciate that. I really, really do. Well, that you've taken the time
of course.
To do that.
And
what else are you going to do? So are we going to run again? Are we going to try to get something bigger? You're in the city.
I mean,
what are we going to do here?
I definitely intend on running again.
Okay.
I have the itch, and so I'd like to keep going. I don't really have any intentions, I guess we'll say here, of being like a lifelong politician.
Okay.
I think that, and not to knock anyone, but just like, I had this moment months ago where I bought my house, I'm fixing it up, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm constantly thinking of new ideas, and I'll paint this, I'll do that. And I was at my parents' house, and they were like, well, we want to make our house nicer, what do you think we should do? Should we paint this room? Should we move this? Should we buy a new couch? And I was like, I've lived here my whole life. I was like, I have no idea what you should do. I can't think of one thing. I'm like, I've been looking at these same walls for 27 years. I have no idea what you should do in here. I couldn't think of one thing. So I thought it's like, oh, it's the same thing in life. Right. Like if you're new and you're in there, you start looking at these problems that everyone's been trying to solve for so long. And you go, oh, it's just that. Right. And not to say outside of the box. You come outside of the box because you haven't been in the box.
That's it.
And that's the only, and then after a while though, I'll be in the box.
So then I'll be stop.
And then I won't know what to do. I'll have the same moment, and then I should go somewhere else.
That's it.
And maybe be in a different box.
That's it.
But but yeah.
Right. So that you can, because fresh new ideas are important. Fresh new ideas are important, and somebody else's perspective. And I think that we have to kind of look past. I'm older, so people who are more mature like myself, but sometimes we need a fresh new look. We need to listen to young people, as my granddaughter said, Delaware is for old people. How do we change that? Let's not just make that statement. Let's flip it so that our kids are enjoying our state and all of the fun things and all the excitement. I mean, like you're saying, being 2 hours from everything fun that you would want to do. Are you kidding me? That's great.
I mean, there's no reason why everybody who's from Delaware shouldn't love being from Delaware, want to stay here. There's, have a thriving nightlife, have a nice young people scene,
That's it.
have a reason to want to stay here and to take care of this beautiful place that we have. And there's no reason why our rivers need to be filled with our sewage. There's no reason, why our zoning issues have to be so mysterious and complicated.
Exactly.
There's no reason for these things to happen. We need to drive that sort of development. And that's, sorry, I'm segueing into different stuff.
And that's so important because, it happens, and we've had these people who set these zoning rules, and everybody just kind of follows, and we have to see what makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, why are we going like this to zone a particular area when we could just keep doing this? And
a lot of it, I think, a lot of our problems with the zoning, particularly in the county, don't affect the city as much as the city is its own zoning. But it's mainly the rural areas, our agricultural space. So we have lots of open area that gets zoned for, basically retiree housing on a farm. And then we have to expend resources, build highways out there, build sewage, have more police in an area that doesn't really have a lot of resources. And then now we don't have any open space. So flooding is becoming more prevalent. So, we don't have, air quality starts to get out. There's lots of reasons why you don't want to do that. But we've got a lot of areas where we can do redevelopment. Office space area, former industrial zones, Claymont, Bellefonte. I mean, gorgeous areas that have these sort of dilapidated strip malls or steel mill like they're doing in the new train station area, which is great. I mean, and lots of that kind of stuff that I think that's the type of growth that we do need. We don't need to stop development, but we need to inform our residents. And one of the things I wanted to get done on council was, and I hope they do it, is opt-in text program and email. So you put your home address in, you have your email and your phone number, and then whenever a property is getting rezoned within a quarter of a mile where you live, you'll get a text saying the time, date, and place of the meeting where you can voice your opinion and the details on the new zoning.
That's it.
So, people are coming out, thousands of people with the comprehensive rezoning plan last year saying, we had no idea that you were going to build this building next to my house. We didn't know you were going to put a warehouse here. We didn't know you were going to do this. Or, we love that you put the Wawa there, and now we can't get it because you took the zoning down because the warehouse people were mad. And so, I think there's good development, there's bad development. We need to make sure that the people who are going to be involved, like the neighbors, the community, are involved as early as humanly possible.
And that they understand everything about, because sometimes you automatically say, oh, this is good, this is bad. Oh, this is bad, we don't want this. But if you get just a little bit of understanding, you'll know, hey, maybe it's not what I thought it was, So,
and it's up to us to make the sell, If it's the best thing for the community, it's up to me as, I'm not an elected official, but it's up to whomever it is to help make the sell. And if it's not in the best interest of the community, I think that maybe there's another sell you need to make. And because there's only so much you can do, we don't own the land. So, within the law, you can drive development, but there's only so much you can do.
And I just want to get all of these different little speed trap places taken down. Can we do that?
The speed traps?
Oh, my God.
But then we're going to go against
35, 45, and then suddenly it's 25. It's 55, and then it's 20. Nothing has changed, really. Except it's a cop there waiting to give somebody a ticket. Let's look at some of this stuff.
No, I hear you.
So we're out of time, but we've had fun.
Thank you.
Or I had fun anyway. I learned a lot.
I've had fun.
So we'll have to do this again. So we're definitely going to invite you back.
Yeah, I love it.
And let's talk about some more stuff, especially helping people understand what's going on with our water, helping people understand what we can do and where we need to make our voice heard. Because there are a lot of places that we really need to make our voice heard. And I think we as citizens just are unaware of a lot of things that happen.
It's hard to find it. It's really hard to find some of this information.
Where cleaners are dumping stuff, like it's all kinds of stuff.
It's sewage overflow. Is that the county? So whenever it rains and there's overflow for the storm drains, our 100-year-old sewage system pumps the sewage into the Brandywine River and the Christina River, which ultimately end up in the Delaware River. But it makes our water. You can't eat the fish there. You can't swim in it. I do sometimes, but I'm like a sort of a pseudo hillbilly. So, I would love to be able to use the Brandywine River and the Christina River
like we did when
recreationally.
We were younger.
I grew up swimming in there.
Exactly, we all went to the Brandywine and went swimming, but today we would kind of say, what's that floating over there?
I was swimming with my neighbor as a pediatrician. She was like, George, get out of there. I was like, what? Like, it's fine.
Yeah, so we've had fun. We hope you did too. I've learned a lot. So we're gonna invite George back and say thank you. And please stand by because I've got some great information for you. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, and also I just want to mention that if you ever need information about any of our upcoming funeral services, please go to www.congofuneralhome.com. Again, that website address is www.congofuneralhome.com. You will be able to leave a condolence for the family. You will be able to see the upcoming services. So you can send flowers. You can send flowers right from our website. You can light a candle in memory of a loved one. But again, if you need more information, you can always call us at 652-8887. But if you just want to go to our website, it is www.congofuneralhome.com.
Hi, I'm Kim, and I am a part of the Congo Funeral Home team. My part is to help people pre-plan their funerals. Congo Funeral Home has been serving the community for many years, and now I find myself being able to say that I have helped people pre-plan funerals for 30 years. I know I'm only 34, right? How can this be? But I have been helping the community pre-plan young, more mature, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. Every single person can pre-plan their funeral. And you can do it with a company that you know, that you trust, that's been here supporting you for many years. Many times families come in and they're having some difficulty, and I feel bad because I need to get to these places to help people understand that you can just take your time, make easy, low monthly payments, and not have the hardship at the time of death. So sometimes when someone passes, the pain is just overwhelming, and it's intensified by the fact that we have to figure out how we're going to pay. Well, we at Congo Funeral Home want to support you in every way possible, also by giving you options to prepay your funeral. There are no health questions that would disqualify you. There's no amount of money. We will work it out so that it happens for you. So please call me, 302-652-8887 or 218-8632. And I want you to know that I'm available to come talk to your church group, your community group, just your family if you like, because it's important that we get this information out to as many people as possible so we can help everyone feel the peace that some of us feel once we know that we're securely covered. So please give me a call and I will help.